everything. What have I become? My sweetest friend. Everyone I know goes away in the end. And you could have.
So we are starting our day off here at Favorite. It's like a cafe. Very, very busy work day today. I have a lot of stuff to do as far as online clients, Zeal, a bunch of different stuff, business related, and also like YouTube, fitness, personal brand related. But overall, in general, just a very, very busy day. These are the days where prep is kind of difficult because you want that food to give you kind of like that brain power. But luckily, my macros are still pretty high, only being week 2, so I'm not too concerned about it. But right now, I'm going to send over some emails to some clients. If you're interested in online coaching, send me an email or check out the website. It's always in the description. I'm doing a sale throughout this whole prep, so this whole entire prep, everything's going to be 20% off at all times. But regardless of that, today, for the past 2 videos, I'm like, I want to talk about cardio, and I haven't gotten a chance. So finally, I think this video we're going to talk about cardio. But for now, I'm going to probably get some espresso, maybe some smoothies, or they have really good food here. It's kind of like a natural place. I'll show you the menu in a second, but I might get a little bit of food here, and then grocery store later as well. So a lot of stuff to vlog today. I just gotta choose what I want to pick. So I got this chicken wrap. It's like chicken, cheese, and tomato, and the bread. So it's relatively low fat, low carb, medium protein. Just not that heavy of a meal. So I don't have to worry about the macros too much. But I also got this green smoothie, and I've honestly never gotten a green smoothie that wasn't like something I made at my house. So this is like an actual thing, and I can't lie, I'm kind of nervous, but I'll give you a taste test. Ooh. So I wouldn't say it's the best thing I've ever had, but it's not too bad. I mean, it's worse than I expected, but it's not that bad. It's like apple, kale, spinach, cucumber, a bunch of random vegetables. Basically, the only thing that's good tasting in it is apple and lime, and the rest is just gross vegetables. But I'll feel super healthy after this, so can't really lose if you feel good. Here at the grocery store,
I will let you down. I will make you hurt.
Okay, so cardio is a really kind of tough thing to speak about because so many people have so many different opinions on it. I'm just gonna tell you guys what works for me, what I practice, what I believe in, what I give my clients, and also what I give myself, and what I'm currently on from my coach. And currently I'm doing 3 sessions of 30 minutes per week of low intensity, steady state cardio, things like walking at a walking pace on a Stairmaster, or on a treadmill walking uphill at 3 to 3.5 speed and around 10 incline, something like that. You can pretty much do low intensity steady state on anything. Same thing with high intensity interval training and all of that, which we'll get into in a second. But it's not really about how you do it. It's about that you use the same variables consistently. And what I mean by that is a lot of people will either do their cardio based on a minute time frame or a calorie burn time frame. And while that's something good to track, if you change the variable as to how you got there, so if you used an elliptical and then you use a treadmill, it's going to be different. What I like to do is keep the cardio tools the same. The variables that are in place, I like to keep them the same. So if you are on even like a different treadmill, if you go to a different gym, it's going to be different. So if you're on a treadmill and it's, for someone that's 180 pounds or whatever, there's like a set person size that they think you are on the treadmill, and unless you change that to your exact measurements, it's going to be different than another treadmill, and vice versa. But the thing is that it's never going to be extremely accurate. So if you get off the treadmill and says you burn 200 calories, you didn't really burn 200 calories. You just burned somewhere around 200 during that time, but it also doesn't take into consideration about any calories that you'll burn, after that, due to the metabolic impact that your cardio session has had. So what I like to do is keep everything that could possibly change. I like to keep that the same. So I use the same machines. I use the same, I only track the time. That way, regardless of, how I basically, regardless as to how much effort I put into cardio, since it's low intensity, the only thing I have to worry about is just make sure I'm doing those time frames. I really do feel like it's better to track a time frame than to track a calorie amount, because if you track a calorie amount, all you're doing is literally tracking like a certain number that a machine thinks is right for that session, versus if you track a time frame, no matter what you do, it's going to be the same. You're always doing 30 minutes. So always try to go at the same speed and everything. But here's the thing, people, it's easy to do cardio, but the problem is everyone either starts out with not enough cardio or way too much. It's usually way too much. The same thing with diet is the same thing with cardio. You should always start with the most amount of calories that you can. That way, when you finish the diet, and this is how a diet works. It's like an asymptote almost. Like you start off here and then you slowly get more intense, and then it just gets really more, like a lot more intense all the way to your goal. You'll never get to the point where you can't do it, but you'll always have a point where it's getting more difficult. And what that means is, as the prep goes on, the slightly tweaking of calories, they go lower and they go lower, and it gets more difficult to diet, and your body gets so tired of doing it so that it becomes even mentally more challenging. And the same thing with cardio. You start off with maybe 0 cardio sessions, or maybe 1 or 2 or 3 like me. And then as it goes on, the cardio either increases or it might change to high intensity interval training and all that kind of stuff. So always start off with the most amount of food you can have for diet wise and the least amount of cardio sessions you can have. Now, you don't have to, but if you're just trying to go at a normal pace, an optimal pace, and you're not trying to like rush through the diet, like if you're doing like Christian's like 90-day prep or whatever, I feel like most of those people are losing as much fat as they can as fast as possible because they're in that 90-day frame and they're trying to win the money or whatever. So those type of people would probably start off with more cardio sessions than they need. But that's just because there's a time frame in effect. But if you're just someone who wants to do things optimally for a slow pace or whatever, just gradually increase the variables that produce a deficit, if that makes sense. So I'm starting off with 3 sessions of low intensity steady state, and I'm sure as we go on, those sessions will either increase, or we might do 2 sessions of this and then maybe add 1 or 2 sessions of high intensity interval. I'm not really sure because I'm not worried about my cardio. That's why I have a coach. I don't have to think about it or anything, which is really nice. And but that's the same thing I like to do with my clients. They have their set amount of cardio that they start with, and that cardio kind of develops into a more intense thing as they get closer to their goal, similar to their diet. Now, before we wrap up, just going to go over what the 3 main types of cardio are. There's low intensity, there's medium intensity, and there's high intensity. The high intensity is interval training, and the medium and low are pretty much like a steady state. Now, usually when we're talking about fitness and stuff, normally you never really see people talking about miss cardio. It's not as common for fat loss just because it's like in the middle. Normally people like to jump on one boat or the other, and they don't like to kind of float in the water, which is where miss is. But in my opinion, no matter how you get your cardio done, whether it's list, miss, or hit, or any other type of cardio, Tabata, anything like that, it doesn't really matter as long as, like I said, you're tracking them for a reason. You have your numbers planned out. Like I'm doing 30 minutes because that's a variable I can track, and I'm probably going to burn around 300 calories every session, and that's like, it's just everything's accounted for. So don't just do random cardio. You can, but if you're trying to be accurate with things, you shouldn't do that, just because it's not as optimal. But it doesn't really matter how you get your cardio, it matters how you feel. So I have plenty of my friends that when they're cutting, they're natural bodybuilders, they compete and everything. Most of them, if they enjoy running, they might do miss cardio. It just depends on who you are as a person. Me personally, I stick to low intensity as much as I can just because I don't know if I'm just like lazy or something when it comes to cardio, but I hate running in place, and there's no way that I'm the type of person that would go to like a track and do high intensity interval training. I can either do really long, slow walks, or I can do like medium time frame jogs. I don't know. I don't know if it's just like, unless I'm playing sports, high intensity interval training is just not fun for me. So I try to avoid it, but I do know that it's very, very good for fat loss. So I do throw it in probably at some point throughout this prep. I have used it plenty of times in the past. And normally I don't like to do more than like 2 sessions max per week of high intensity interval training. But like I said, those are the 3 main types of cardio so people do. It doesn't matter what you choose, just matters that you know how to manipulate the variables that are at place, and you can use that to bring yourself into a further deficit without sacrificing anything else. Hope this helped. Let me know if you have questions about cardio below. I just really want to talk about cardio in this video because I get a lot of questions about it, and so many people have people are always just doing an hour or 2 hours of cardio every single day when they start dieting 7 days a week. And cardio should be treated the same way it is with diet, and it should get more intense as you go on, and it shouldn't just start off with the utmost intensity. So just gradually do everything as slow as you can, and keep your mind right too, because cardio is a big, makes you hate prep. You're sitting there for 30 minutes doing low intensity interval training or low intensity steady state, and you're like, oh my God, when this prep gonna end? You have to make sure that you're preparing yourself for it, and you shouldn't just jump on it like that, because it's just gonna ruin your entire prep. You're gonna hate yourself for that. But hope this makes sense. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that thumbs up if you like this video. Subscribe if you're new, and comment any other video ideas you want to see or what you thought of this video. And thank you for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.